the volume.
Turn up the volume.
You've arrived at the destination for all things Kentucky. This is the Bleed Blue Network Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Field Vision here with Josh Kattus and Beau Allen. Welcome back. We missed a week. We missed South Carolina week, but we are moving forward from that. That was not the best game from both sides of the ball, but we had a pretty good game this week, this past week versus Georgia.
Absolutely. We obviously we didn't come out on top, and I think one thing as our program is clear about, and we hope to be clear about, is that I think Coach Stoops would say this, that we're too strong of a program and too good of a team to have moral victories, but we definitely had a better product on the field on our side of the ball against Georgia. The crowd was incredible.
Incredible. Yeah, I'm at, like I just mentioned, I remember at one point on third down, I looked over at Dane and we were just kind of blown away by the atmosphere. I mean, the fans really showed out and they were there the whole game, and we really appreciate them making it tough on Georgia. But yeah, we really feel like there was some opportunities we had to really win that game. Offense made some strides from the week before, moving the ball, getting first downs and all that. But it really was like a defensive battle. I think both defenses played pretty well.
Yes.
Including our defense. Our defense, Zion Childers balled out.
Yeah, I think he's I feel like we've known this, but he's probably one of the best open field tacklers definitely in the country right now. And I think probably maybe you could argue that he is the best, but one of the best we'll ever see in college football at Kentucky, but more especially probably everywhere in the nation, really. And may have had himself a pick six. Wish it went our other way.
I know. I was hyped after that. But he was showing up on all ends. I mean, flying down from the safety nickel position, beating guys, making tackles in the backfield, doing well in coverage. Obviously, we saw that should have been pick six. But overall, decent game. I think we really had the chance to come out on top. But they played well. Their defense played well, and we just got to keep moving forward and look forward to next week. Definitely.
I don't think our product on the field is something that we hope to build on and plan to build on. That really, like nobody. I don't think one person in this building was a second satisfied with the way that we played. I mean, we played great, but obviously we didn't win, and I think we're good enough to win those kind of games, even if it is the number one team in the country. But just the atmosphere at all times of the game, it was something incredible. And I'm excited, and as well as with the rest of our team, to be a part of games like that, with the atmosphere like that for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why we come to Kentucky. We came to Kentucky to play in games like that and to have the crowd like that. I mean, it really shows what it's like playing in the SEC.
Yeah,
I think they made it tough on them.
Yeah, one thing like special about it that like I can come off on my end is that like I remember going to games when I was younger, and I was probably been a real fan since about 2005 up until now. And there have been plenty of years where the only game that would have a crowd like that would be a game against Georgia. But I think we're at a point in our program and our team that our crowd has developed so much that we can have crowds like that almost every game. Every game we've played home. I know we've played 3 games, and it seems like every game that at least I've came back to Kentucky, and when I played here earlier, it's been that way every time. And it's as good enough as an atmosphere as most will find out there now. And I think that that's something to stay, and something that will be a huge advantage for us going forward too.
No, I think the biggest thing now as a team is, you come off playing the number one team in the country, do playing a team like Ohio in the MAC. But Ohio is actually very good. They've had 2 really successful seasons the past 2 years. And we keep seeing it over and over again. These MAC schools are starting to show up. We saw Bowling Green give Penn State a game. We saw Toledo
got after Mississippi
State. So, obviously there's a jump between playing a team like Georgia to playing to a team like
Northern
Ohio.
Illinois.
Yeah, Northern Illinois.
In there. Yeah,
I mean, that's one that I don't think you can really not talk about.
No, beating Notre Dame, and then we saw Notre Dame bounce back at least. But I mean, that shows how talented the teams are in the match.
Toledo really ruined my pregame picks because I was like, "Oh yeah, Mississippi State's going to win that game." Oops.
You didn't put any money on it?
I didn't put money on it. No, I don't gamble like that. But no, that was an ass whipping.
Yeah,
that was an ass whipping.
I didn't watch that game at all, but I looked down at my phone.
Well, it's a little hard for you to watch the game. When,
I didn't watch any highlights.
If you would have been like on the sideline with your iPhone out watching ESPN, I think there might have been a lot of questions.
Sometimes you do peep up. They have the scores going around, and you kind of are a little bit shocked. That was a shocker for sure. But Toledo's a good team. A lot of these MAC schools are doing well in the transfer portal. They're getting some guys from some big programs. And they're playing well, and that's what Ohio has been doing. They gave Syracuse a pretty good game week one. We watched that on film, so there's a lot of talent. We can't take them lightly at all because they're going to come and try to shock the world at Kroger Field. So, but I'm excited about it. I think it'll be a good game, and they're going to come to play. That's for sure.
Absolutely. They be another good. It's just a good matchup and another great atmosphere. I believe we all hope to have, and uniquely on the defensive stuff that we watch, they play a little bit of a different style of a defense, maybe more conservative in some aspects than we've played in the past. So
they're pretty strong up front. They play their corners pretty far off. They play a lot of cover three, a lot of fire zones, but there's a lot of movement on the D line. They believe in their D line, so we're gonna have to be able to pick up that movement. And continue what we've been doing in the run game. I think we showed a lot of big strides in the run game the past few weeks. So we kind of have to pick up where we left off there.
Yeah. I think one thing we want to touch on, even though obviously we didn't have an episode last week, we didn't talk on past games from this past week a little bit.
Yeah.
So we're going to only talk about a couple, but Bama, Wisconsin was the first one. The boys from Alabama got after those, the Badgers pretty good.
I would have never expected that matchup to ever take place, Wisconsin versus Alabama.
I know. Wisconsin's quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, ended up getting hurt, sadly, and hope he all does well, but that kind of put him behind the
He's had that history, though.
Really? Yeah.
He's at Miami. Yeah, it was hurt all the time there. So, I mean, obviously you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but you're starting to see a track record from that perspective.
Yeah. I'm a big Fickle fan, too. He recruited me out of high school.
Yeah.
So I think he'll do well there eventually. I think that's a tough matchup, having to play a team like Alabama.
Yep.
That's got to be a big adjustment to the speed, to the size that they have on that team. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're loaded. We got to play them last year. I mean, the size up front is unbelievable. But
the next one we want to talk about is LSU versus South Carolina.
What a game!
Yeah, me and Kattus both got to watch that one in the hotel. But South Carolina shot off like a rocket in that game.
The offense looked good.
Yeah.
I was a little bit surprised.
And obviously they've had a good defense, and people believed on their defense to be better than their offense, but LSU ended up pulling through. There's probably a couple plays there for anyone who watched. Was a pick six by South Carolina that probably would have shut off the game, but kind of a blindside block on Garrett Nussmeier, LSU's quarterback, that took that ball back. And
I saw that. That's rough. It's rough that had to come down to that.
Yeah. But
I think it obviously hurt them. Their quarterback, Lenoris, got hurt.
Yep. Yeah, Robbie Ashford was the next guy who came in, a good athlete.
Yeah, we saw Lenoris literally take one. They ran a little power read, take one 60-some yards to the crib.
Yep.
Their offense was looking really good, and their edge rushers were getting after LSU. They had number 5 going against Will Campbell, who's the All-American left tackle. So it was a really good game. I thought South Carolina was going to come out on top of that, though.
I thought so too. I think it was one of those games people will say, like a South Carolina fan would say, you probably thought you deserved to win, but I guess it really didn't end up going that way. But I thought South Carolina was going to pull it out also. But
I think the big thing is with these, what you see in these SEC road games, it's like any coach is just happy with getting out an SEC road game with a win. It's the same thing Kirby Smart said.
Yes.
We look back at Auburn, when they played at Auburn last year, the year prior to that, they played at Missouri, just coming out it's tough to win on the road in the SEC.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Nothing like
for
that
Brian
should
Kelly to go in there and do that's big time for the program.
Yeah. Oh, some people, you said were calling for his head earlier.
Yeah, he didn't win by enough.
He didn't win by enough.
Not by enough, yeah.
Shoot.
You go on the road and win. I mean,
Especially at a place like South Carolina. That place is walking.
Yeah, I'm as the fan in this, I'm just gonna not comment on South Carolina or their fans.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna sit over here.
They got a good atmosphere.
Smile.
Though. Yeah.
One we did not get to watch live, or we did. We get to watch Missouri and Boston College some.
I didn't get to watch that.
Boston College also started off hot. Missouri ended up battling back. I think Missouri won 27-21, but Boston College was up for a strong majority of that game. Boston College got a good young quarterback, a good mobile guy, and I think Missouri had some troubles with him. But
the thing that talks a lot to Missouri's strength of schedule, and that's something that could bite them later in the season if they don't play teams like Boston College, because they're not going to have a lot of opportunities at top 25 games with that schedule. And will that bite them in the ass potentially later in the season if they don't win more convincingly without having the opportunities some other teams? Like, could a 10-2 Missouri get bounced from the playoffs for a 9-3 Kentucky, right? And I'm just using that as an example when their schedule is, basically rock bottom in the SEC, and you guys have a top 4 schedule national. And I'm just, like I said, using that as an example. But is that like, there's other teams obviously that are in that conversation that have a top 10 schedule. If they lost 2 or 3 and they were close, but they have other big wins, do they get pushed?
I think that's an interesting thing to talk about too, because like how our schedule is structured this year compared to how our schedule has been structured in the past. Like Missouri, I'm not sure exactly what their schedule is off the top of my head, but
I'm looking at it right now. They have 2 big games, but other than that, it's
in their first 5 weeks, it's all non-conference, I believe.
Yeah, they started with Murray State, beat Buffalo, Boston College, and then they have an SEC game this week. They play Vanderbilt.
But like, for example,
if that's closer than what people think, that's going to be people are going to start asking a lot of questions.
Yes. And like, think about the past of our schedules. Like for the first 4 or 5 games, they've been all non-conference. I mean, maybe we played South Carolina early in the past, but
like the past 2 years specifically, we would play the MAC schools. We played Youngstown State. We played all 3 of those games early,
back to back to back to back, and then that leads up with your hardest part of the schedule. And
do you think that's harder when you play teams that aren't as physical and athletic, and then go into a game against a team that's very physical and athletic?
I think I kind of like how our schedule was structured this year. You get to get a test early on and really see how your team's going to do against conference opponents, tough athletic conference opponents. In the past, it's like we would go 3-0, start out the season, and then come into a big game without really any tests. I think like last year,
They're just false confidence.
Maybe a little bit.
Obviously you smacked Florida in the mouth last year.
That gave us a lot of confidence going into Georgia. I mean, a lot of us really thought that like we were going to go into Athens and, put on a show there. But I think it's always good getting your test in early in the season.
I think one thing I thought about was like, I've had so many buddies and friends who are fans, and they'll talk about like a game like South Carolina or Georgia and talk about how that can be a season defining game. And I think that is a terrible, and I mean, I'm not saying terrible, but as a player who has also been a fan
Georgia is a season defining game if you win it, right? Like if you lose,
yes.
Like if you lose, it's not a backbreaker because no one's, even though there's a hope you win, right?
Yes.
It doesn't mean, the season goes to hell.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think that, I think one reason why some people can think that is because how our schedule has been structured in the past, where it's like instead of, like I remember my last year here at Kentucky, we had a span of, it was Georgia, Tennessee, and I forgot who the last opponent was, but we lost 3 in a row, and we were a really great team. We ended up having 10 wins.
Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi State.
Yeah, that was we lost to Mississippi State. But I think that
didn't you like win 6, lose 3,
then won the rest.
Won 3. Yeah.
After the bye week, right?
I believe so.
You guys got 2 bye weeks this year.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I think like one thing
Especially as Kattus is like 6 fingers going sideways right now.
Yeah, very nice.
and something like, and again, that kind of goes back to having a schedule, not necessarily with the opponents, being able to have 2 buys in a structure that you have. And I guess that's kind of a college football thing nowadays. It's
I
not
like
just
it.
us,
I know like George Kittle was pushing for it in the NFL. Like he was saying, he was very adamant on adding an extra week to the NFL season just so they could get 2 bye weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they do it. They have 1 bye and they have 17 games.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. It really, those bye weeks really do well in getting a chance to get your body feeling right and stuff. And we really still get after it during the week.
Yeah, but the guys who need it, I mean, I'm not saying they're off, but they get a good amount of attention that would. I mean, you still get attention during the game week, but it's Saturday.
And you also get a head start on the next opponent, right? So you get about 2 weeks to prepare for the team you're going to play.
Yep.
So I think our bye weeks after Ole Miss, right?
There's an interesting side note there, because not this team, but the next team you play, you will be their first Power 4 opponent.
Wow. Ole Miss.
Ole Miss will play 2 group of 5 and 2 FCS teams before they get to you guys.
Wake Forest is.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry.
They do have them this week, right?
No, they already played them. Sorry. Okay. Sure. Okay. So you guys are the first SEC team that you guys. They will. I mean, let's be honest. Like Wake Forest has had really good offensive show, but on the defensive side of the ball, they have nowhere near what an SEC team has.
Yeah, and that's what you have to have versus a team like Ole Miss.
Listen, like someone made a good point, right? Like when you've gone up against all that, because I think they play Georgia State or something this week, and then the next week you got to line up against Keyshawn Silver and Deion Walker. Like that first time that you snap the ball, that's going to hit a little different, right? Like there is that ability to punch someone in the mouth from that perspective, and you guys know what that's like to play those games and maybe have either false confidence or not, that game speed and stuff. Now, looks good teams can ramp up really fast, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also one of those things. Do you want to play a battle-tested and battle-hardened team when you haven't played one yet? Like, does that make you doubt? Like, I mean, I've never played football like that before, but I feel like that's an interesting question that fans might get good insight on.
Yeah, I don't think, and Kattus, you play a lot more physical position than I ever have, but I don't think that. I would hope that with how I think we're taught and how our kind of culture is, we would never ever believe we have the opportunity to ever look down on somebody. Mm-mm. But I mean, possibly with just the style of a defense or maybe the difference in the physicality or not. But I don't know, what's your opinion
on being battle tested early?
And just kind of having that. That may be a good way to say it, but also kind of having that dense of a schedule compared to like Ole Miss will probably have to go through a straight line of SEC teams.
Yeah, it's tough.
A certain amount of in a span of 3 or 4 weeks, and so we will too. But ours is a little more spread out than normal.
I mean, it could go either way. I'll tell you now, some of those FCS schools and the MAC schools, like they're getting a lot of talent. Yes. Like I said earlier, so there's a lot of guys like. When we went in and played Ball State last year, I mean, the defensive ends we were blocking, one of them's from Michigan State, has been there for 3 or 4 years. Like, there's some physical, talented players on there, but there is a difference in the SEC speed, so that's something they might have to get adjusted to.
Ole Miss has scored 168 points through 3 weeks, by the way. So the thing just to put that out there from that side of the ball.
Yeah, the thing I'm excited about that game,
averaging 56 points a game.
Is like in the past when we played them in 22, they're real big into tempo. Ole Miss, yeah. So like our defense played decent, but they weren't really used to that tempo.
Yeah,
going in. But I think our defense going against our tempo all spring and all fall camp could probably get them pretty adjusted to that.
Yeah, I definitely compared to the past. Like we've had huddle and we still huddle sometimes, but not often. But we've had full huddle operations for the past
Well, the cool thing we've done now is this is something we picked up this year is on Tuesdays, we did today, we have a full tempo period versus the defense.
Even if it's not a tempo style, like a full speed tempo style offense, it's good to get our defense into offense in a good condition.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You obviously start off practice, you're a little winded and stuff, but it's good. It's good in the long scheme of things. But yeah, I don't know. I think Ole Miss, it'll definitely be a test for them. Getting to go against our defense, our defensive line and linebackers and everyone on there has been playing very well. So I think that'll be a test for them.
Would you rather play a top 5 team in this scenario, especially first SEC game, first real legit Power 5 team? Sorry, Wake Forest. At night or at 11 a.m. like you're going to play them? As the road team. Now, remember, the road team, so it's different because you go there at 7:30, those crazy people are going to be wide awake. 11 a.m., a little different.
Yeah, we did that in 22. It's definitely an adjustment.
Well, they punched you in the mouth in 22, and then you guys punched them back. Like, that, it was different in that game. And then the stupid call at the end that I don't want to talk. I'm not getting a $50,000 fine for saying that, so it's fine. I feel like you got to feel like there's an advantage somewhere there, or like you just don't care.
I think I would say like most guys would probably be on the don't care spectrum, but like at the end of the game, like logistically, I think on being an away team for an 11 o'clock game versus 7:30 p.m. game, you'd probably be happier about it.
And it's supposed to actually be nice in Oxford. It's supposed to be like 75.
That's nice. And not
high.
Like 2 years ago,
it was 9,000 degrees.
It's supposed to be a hot one this Saturday.
I hate that. Don't tell me about that.
It's not fun.
My shit's in the shade, so I'm good. I'll be looking at me like, hey, Kattus looks hot as shit out.
I think a lot of people kind of just, there's, like you said, just like a I don't really care attitude. Because at the end of the day, you just got to show up and play. You got to get up pretty early to get ready for the game. I forget what the wake-up call was.
Like 6.
2 years ago. Yeah, it's pretty early. But like you said, from a logistics standpoint, it's good to get there and get out of there.
Did you all go to a movie the night before?
No.
Yeah, I think so. Probably not.
No, that kind of throws off the routine.
Do you usually do movies on road games?
Yeah, you'll do. So like if we played a later game, we would. But with the game being at technically 11.
Do you get heckled a lot on a road game when you go to the movie?
No, we're out of the way. We stay out of the way.
You don't stay like usually in the city?
Mm-mm. No, the only one we did was Vanderbilt. We stayed in Nashville. I'm trying to even think if we went to a movie that game.
It's not a traditionally hostile town anyway.
Yeah.
No, I like Nashville.
And it's huge, right? Like it's a lot. It's big. It's not like Nashville's actually a big metroplex compared to what some.
Yeah,
all the other. Besides us,
Oxford's in a tiny ass town, right? It's not big. Tuscaloosa's not very big.
Yeah,
Gainesville's not very big.
No, we'll stay like 45 minutes out from in some of those smaller college towns. But if it's a later game, we do go to a movie. We've actually seen 2 decent movies the past 2 weeks.
What was the first? You don't like
Blink Twice. The first one
we've watched 3 movies though.
We watched Blink Twice week 2, week 3.
Speak No Evil.
Week 1. We watched Wolverine, Deadpool.
Yeah. I'm not a big Marvel guy.
I'm a big Marvel guy.
Oh my God. Beau's fired.
I liked it. I was a big fan of it. I actually suggest watching the Blink Twice movie for you guys here. I gotta suggest it. It's actually pretty entertaining.
There's more than me here. Kendall's just not talking.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've been silent this whole time. I'm just eavesdropping.
All right. We want to talk about a few games coming up on this week. We can pick our teams that we believe will win.
You don't want to talk about any of the other crazy games from last week?
We got kind of sidetracked.
Yeah, we did.
There's a lot of crazy games like last week.
Texas A&M beat Florida.
By the way, did you see that guy Juke? Was it their backup quarterback, or I don't know who it was, but he absolutely put that guy in a blender.
He like spun around. Was it Reed? Marcel
yeah,
Reed?
He hard stepped to the right and then went left, and that guy just literally like flew into the ocean. Like I think he's still in the ocean.
Which one was better? Was Baker's juke better? Or was that guy's?
That guy's was way better.
Really?
Oh God, yeah,
Baker
way
got
better.
a little sticky on him.
No, this was nuts. Like it was one of those. It was one of the craziest jukes I think I've seen in a long time. Memphis beats Florida State.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's rough. DJ's had a rough first 3 games.
It's tough for Mike Norvell too. He was a coach at Memphis, and what was it 2-3 years ago? 5 3 years. 4
or 5 years ago.
16 of 30 for 201 yards.
But here's the thing: he struggled. He at Clemson goes to the Pac-12, much different defense, much different look. Comes back to the ACC and struggles again. Like at some point, you got to understand, right? Like this was a thing. Like I mean, you saw that. I'm not listen. As a fan, I love seeing it because they spent, and I think we talked about this in the first week, right? Like you spend so much time talking and complaining about what could have happened, all this stuff, and then you go out and get absolutely clocked by Georgia. And I don't care if you're a top 5 program. It doesn't matter if you have a bunch of people out. Like you lose 38-17 or something like that, even though it might feel like you got ran off the field. 63-3, a little bit different. Then you go out and get clocked and get manhandled on both sides of the lines by Georgia Tech. Then you get the same thing to Boston College, and then now you just get. I mean, and they've lost 3 straight home games because even that game in Ireland was dominated by Florida State fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That entire fan base is just in disarray.
Yeah. I don't think anyone expected it. You expected it?
I did.
Not 0-3 though, right?
0-3?
I actually picked them to be one of the most overrated teams in the ACC.
That's a good call.
It's hard. It's just tough because they recruit so well.
It's mental though. It's mental with them. Like if your coach, you know this. You guys know this from playing football your whole life. If your coach is rocky, it doesn't matter what the outside noise is, right? Like if the inside is stable, you're stable. Mm-hmm. And Norvell was not stable inside or outside. I mean, you could see like it that whole aspect of them missing the playoffs last year, that could bury their program for years. Mm-hmm. That could put them really far behind because now it's just everybody's in disbelief and disarray. That's hard to come back from. Like maybe not, but like I mean, their season's over. They have no shot at the playoffs.
Yeah,
yes. And I mean, they're gonna have a hard shot at getting to a bowl game.
They're over under. I think win total now is like 5.
Mm-hmm. And it was at 9.
It was 11. I think 10 to start the year.
They got California next week.
California beat Auburn.
SMU, who's always pretty decent. They got Clemson, Duke, Miami, Florida is going to be rough.
Miami's going to try and boat race them, by the way. I'm just letting you know. Miami is going to try and take every ounce of their soul when they go down to Miami. And the way Cam Ward forget that the defense look. I think Florida State's in for a long year.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's looking like right now. I don't know unless they get it figured out.
The most interesting part about all those games is, especially when the Georgia Tech game, is that like when a team is expected to be favored so much, especially up front, like in just the most, not necessarily simple, but the most, I guess simple and most, ways to dominate a game. Like they've been expected, I mean, by analysts and other people and people like us talking about football that aren't on their team or anything. They were expected to win games that way. You know what I'm saying? Not like an acute.
There was supposed to be, there was a thing that had top 10 front sevens, and they had FSU on there and a couple other teams, and they didn't have Kentucky. And I responded.
That's funny.
And I even mentioned FSU, and I was like, it's disrespectful that they're ranked over Kentucky. That's looking like a good shout right now because my goodness, are they getting bullied?
Yeah, absolutely. And
their secondary isn't bad, but they're getting torched on the front.
Yeah. I mean, that's like one thing I feel like a lot of fans, and it's like when programs get overturned from coach to coach, a lot of times like a program will believe and fans will believe that like just that same style of winning. And I'm not saying the amount of winning, but I'm saying the same style of playing will maintain. Like Wisconsin, for example, obviously they're going to recruit big, strong guys, but they have an offensive coordinator. And they had him last year too. His name's Chip Longo. He was the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss the year before that. Like they're going to have to play a different style of football, or somebody's going to have to adapt. I don't know who it is, maybe the players or the coaches.
Yeah, and you have to see that. You're going to have to do that more often now with the transfer portal.
Absolutely. Yes, that too. But I think one thing a lot of people sometimes can possibly get wrong is like when obviously like a program like Florida State, I mean, in the history of football, one of the top 10 programs, top 10, 15 programs in all of college football, would we say?
We can debate that.
I mean, 15 top, I mean, I'm just saying historically.
You don't think so?
I hate Florida State.
Well, yeah.
So much.
But
I mean, so they've won 2 national titles. So, right, like if you look at that.
Boatload of talent.
Ohio, yeah, but Ohio State has more titles. Alabama, obviously. LSU has more titles than they do now. Miami has more titles than they do. Now, I mean, I think if you look if you look at UCLA, technically they have more titles, but like if you look at the last 40 years, they've not been. I mean, they had that one run with Leinart, and that was about it.
Yeah.
So historically, though, but if you look, I think in college football, you have to kind of look in like 20-year runs, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a good point.
In the 80s to 2000, yes, they were. They were probably one of the best that you put them in there with Miami, Notre Dame, Penn State, Alabama. You think you got to probably put Florida in that, even though that pains me to say, because in the SEC, they were so dominant for such a long time. And also, I don't even want to talk about Spurrier. But yes, but if you look at it overall, their rise was kind of historically a rise where Miami was also in a rise,
like
right?
90s.
Late 80s, mid 80s, and the 90s.
Yeah.
And then it's been a struggle bus for some of them over the last 20 years.
Yeah. So it's like my point with this is like hopefully I hope I live a long life, and I hope Coach Stoops is the head coach here for the history of my life after football. But whenever the day comes, hopefully 30 years from now or 20 years from now,
when he's 90.
Maybe. I
hope Mark retires before that with a lot of wins, a lot of trophies, and enjoys a lot of like bourbon and just relaxing.
Yes, sir.
I don't even want him to stick.
Let's say that happens.
Yeah.
But whoever our new coach is going to have to build a strong culture that he wants to build. Like obviously we've had the same mindset since ever he's gotten here.
But when you graduate, we should have a really fun conversation about this, because I think there's a really big rabbit hole to go down, especially how fans think. And I'm not in that group. Yeah. About that piece, right? Like we don't want you to give too much away. You guys are on the team and all that kind of stuff, right? But that isn't a very important thing that you bring up there in what the infrastructure that's built and just how historically hard it is here. I mean, we don't have 25-star guys coming out of Kentucky. You've got to go get them. You've got to sell the culture and build all that. And it is a lot harder than Ohio State, than Florida. I mean, the Florida teams are in disarray in some aspects, but still, like that's a great point.
Yeah, like I think like whenever that day comes, whenever a new coach would coach our program, hopefully 15, 20 years down the road, like I bet fans will expect like, oh, we're gonna run the ball really well, we're gonna stop the run really well, and hopefully we all do that. But it's not just gonna happen from a coach is going to have to set what he believes on, how we're going to win games. And we, again, since ever Coach Stoops been here, we've been a team that's ran the ball well and defended the run well. And then we're a lot better now, and we can do all sorts of things. But I think that's a thing when people think of teams like Florida State and programs that have had high highs and now low lows, that a lot of people get mixed up, that they're like, oh, since they're just a big time program or something, that kind of culture just stays, but it doesn't. I mean, the players on the team for a lot of those good programs like that, like Florida State, for example, Bobby Bowden's their guy. I wouldn't be surprised if 95% of the recruits are recruiting have no idea who Bobby Bowden is, sadly. You know, I mean, stuff like that I think a lot of people don't think about, and those, I guess, transitions of programs.
Okay, I got a question for you, Beau. As a quarterback, now we've seen Nebraska's 3-0, right? And they beat Colorado, they beat Northern Iowa this past week. How do you feel about, like, there's a lot of publicity on Dylan Raiola.
Yep.
Like kind of modeling his whole game and personality off of like Patrick Mahomes. Like as a quarterback, like how do you feel about that?
I would say, like, obviously I don't know Raiola or Patrick Mahomes, but on the personality side, that can be a little different. But I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like, if he plays quarterback,
he's the best.
And
besides Joe Burrow.
If you want to model, like, who's your favorite tight end? Like George Kittle?
Yes.
Or something you would want to, like, if you could do or be like George Kittle, you would probably straight to the edge of doing that.
100%.
So I think it's something that, I mean, the kid's probably 18 or 19. I mean, I'm only 22, and I think of the same. Like Tom Brady's my guy. There's things that I think about that he probably did in the past that I've kept up with his career, but I think it's okay. I mean, we're all fans.
I think it's kind of cool too.
The weirder thing is that people don't talk about it. Probably the same guy who like brought that up in the article has a Tom Brady jersey that he puts on on Sundays whenever he does that.
Yeah.
And,
Hey, I'm a Dolphins fan, and I would like to put on a Tom Brady jersey as well now.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I have a Tom Brady jersey at home, so I'm also.
I will not be putting on
both sides
that
of the
Tom Brady
conversation.
jersey. I want the
Tampa Bay?
teal Tom Brady jersey.
Oh, you're saying that's about to happen?
I don't know. I mean, but they just put Tua on IR today, so he's out 8 weeks or something. I think is the earliest he can come back. So I mean, could always make a phone call. He lives there.
Yeah.
He would
Probably in good shape.
he probably would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Did you not see the podcast where they asked him like if a team was good and they needed like you to put the cape on and come back, and he was just like, I'm always going to be in good shape and I'm always going to be able to throw a football, so why not?
That's cool. I'd
That'd
say
be
to give.
pretty
I don't think it's a weird thing for Rayola though. I think it's
cool. I
fine.
mean, he's the best of the best.
Yeah, a true freshman,
And they
playing
train
the way that he
together.
is. Yes,
Yeah.
they do. Yeah, I think they
He
even
looks
have,
like him though. It's creepy.
yeah, the sunglasses maybe.
The
maybe a
pregame
little
routine
bit,
threw
yeah.
me off a little bit.
They got the same
The
like,
hair.
private QB
the
coach. too.
mannerisms just
And
kind of like
how they throw the football also is pretty identical also, but that's a pretty unique one.
Michigan. Speaking of quarterbacks, Michigan makes a QB change.
Are they going with the orgy?
Yep. Origi.
Origi, I don't know.
Origi.
I don't know
Origi.
exactly.
Yep.
I think it's needed.
Yeah, it looks like they had a game against Arkansas State. this
Struggled.
past week. It was like
Now they got
18.
Now they have USC.
I think is that at Michigan? I think.
It is.
I think I probably would say USC probably wins that one probably by 2, by 17 points. I bet that probably will be interesting. I feel like I actually haven't probably gotten to watch too many Michigan games. I watched the LSU USC game a couple weeks ago, but Josh is a Michigan fan and seems like they're struggling a little bit.
Yeah, the issue is like they always play it around like 3:30, so I don't really get a chance to watch them. I'll try to watch the highlights and stuff, but that quarterback has been struggling a little bit, and I think they need to find. They're not going to be able to replace JJ McCarthy that easily. He was pretty elite with Michigan last year, obviously. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Orgy does, and he'll have a big test versus USC. I mean, we got to watch that LSU USC game. I think we were at Vandergrift's house or something.
Yeah.
And they look pretty good. Miller Moss is a ball player. So it's interesting to see like Michigan now playing a team like USC. It's kind of fun to watch.
Definitely bet just good matchups throughout the whole season, but I feel like we both agree USC will probably win that one. See how kind of interested.
USC is favored, by the way.
Yeah.
Like I bet it's by 8.
Touchdown.
Close. But
We get to see Tennessee gets tested this week.
yeah, Tennessee at Oklahoma, I believe.
They've kind of been in the similar. They played NC State.
They've been rolling them. Though.
I'm not all right. I'm not that sold on NC State.
Yeah,
But this is the test, and Tennessee is favored by 7.
yeah. I guess we'll
yeah.
see.
Oklahoma's still undefeated, but they had a close game with Tulane. Close-ish.
Yeah. I mean, it was ish. What happened? They had a turnover or something later in the game. And I think it made it closer.
Mm-hmm. They only beat Houston 16-12.
That was the game that was a little bit more shocking.
Yeah.
Like, I would not be surprised if Tennessee gets after them a little bit. I would, if I was gambling, I would take Tennessee to cover.
Oklahoma beat Tulane 34-19.
Yeah, it's not as close as what I thought.
And it was the close. Yeah, it was always. I think Oklahoma always had them at bay. I don't think it was ever that close. It was 20-6 at halftime, and then it was 23-13. So I mean, it was always like a 2-score game.
Tulane's always been a solid team.
That
Summerall.
John Summerall now
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game to watch. I think they'll get their first big test.
Under the lights in Norman.
Listen,
Yeah.
I got my upset of the week. We're going Bowling Green at Texas A&M. I got a boy on Bowling Green. I think that's going to be the upset of the week. Boys were balling versus Penn State. They really should have won that game if you look at it.
They were up for the strong.
Texas A&M is a 23-point favorite, by the way.
So
you know.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm going with my boy. My boy is going to ball out. He's on special teams, but he's going to make some tackles on special teams. But I'm taking Bowling Green. They play how they played at Penn State. I would not be surprised. And Texas A&M's been kind of up and down this year, so we'll see.
I got 3 upsets for you this week.
3 upsets.
3 upsets. Oklahoma over Tennessee.
Wow.
Oklahoma State over Utah. Georgia Tech over Louisville.
I like
Those are
Oklahoma
my
State
3.
over Utah. I had that one written down. I think is Cam Rising could be. I know
He's in. He's playing. The problem is Oklahoma State's quarterback is also like 30.
Yeah. Bowman.
2 7th-year seniors battling.
Listen, Oklahoma at night is going to be a hard place to play. That is not an easy place. Obviously, Oklahoma State's not an easy place to play. That stadium, like I'm sure you've seen it, right? Like the sidelines. I think you have 5 feet between the sideline and the stands. It's crazy how little room you have there. And I just like the way Georgia Tech plays. I think that's going to be a tough matchup for Louisville.
Their offense is fun to watch.
So
Very fun to watch.
Their offensive coordinator, his name's Buster Faulkner. He was a quarterback coach. They recruited Brock and was with Brock at Georgia for a while. And Brock thought really highly of him.
Yeah, very highly of him. They paid him. They paid him to pretty lot to stay there. And we got to see them versus Florida State just get after him.
Yeah,
Heinz
offensively. Fun.
King he's kind of a backyard quarterback.
He's a ball player.
I don't know if I necessarily can call this an upset, but Cincinnati is favored over Houston by only 3.5 points. But I think Houston can win the game by a touchdown or 2.
You think Miami, Ohio is going to go give it to Notre Dame this week?
They could.
The Red Hawks.
The Red Hawks. My former roommate, John Young, who's offensive lineman here and transferred to Miami, but I believe the Red Hawks could do it. Hopefully Notre Dame. I feel like they almost struck them at a bad time after coming off a loss against Northern Illinois, but I could see that being a much better game than probably what most people would expect.
No, Notre Dame took that loss pretty personally. They put up 66 on Purdue this past week.
Yeah. I know that. Yeah, they got to have
they were a little frustrated for sure. Other than that, there's not. I mean, you got Kansas State, BYU. Kansas State's been looking good. You got your boy, your Georgia Southern boys playing Ole Miss.
I know. That'll be a good one for us to watch on film. Georgia Southern's done really well on offense. They just played South Carolina State. They had a high-scoring game against Boise State in week 1. They had a struggle stopping that running back from Boise State, but put up some points. It was like 50 to 40-something. But that'll be a good one to watch. J.C. French is their quarterback at Georgia Southern. He's a good, really talented player, huge arm. I'm excited to watch that. Definitely am. I think really one thing we wanted to touch on is we don't know who, but we will for sure have a guest on for this next episode.
We got three guys in mind.
I feel like they keep saying this, but nothing's come about it. So.
Kendall is the guest.
Kendall was a guest today. She didn't say much, but she did make her presence known. But we're gonna get someone on next. We got guys asking us.
Yes, we do.
We got guys asking us.
I also threw you under the bus while we were waiting. So
yeah, we got a little bit of pressure.
Did Zion find you guys, by the way?
Yeah, or he found. I don't know if he talked to you, but he found me.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Walked in here.
That's good.
Barryon found us too in the locker room. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we will have a guest on next week, and it'll be a fun little show. We'll get to know the player a little bit, but you can count on that. You can count on it.
Yep. So obviously we got a game against Ohio this upcoming week at noon. Or is it 12:30?
12:45.
12:45.
Noon, 12:30, 12:45. Sometime. I know I'm gonna put the jersey on at some point. Here's a funny question for you guys. When do you guys know the uniform combinations of what you're gonna wear? Because I think like that's a weird, dumb question that fans are gonna find interesting.
We knew.
I haven't tried.
We knew like Thursday.
By Thursday.
So you know like a day before they announce it then?
But you don't really know though. Like some of the players, like I think Coach Stoops went up to one of the players and was like asking like, so blue, gray, like how do y'all feel about that? So the players do have, some of the captains have input on it, but we don't really find out until we like like they either post the video online or if you don't see the video, you kind of walk to your locker, you see your jersey.
When are we just going to get some random just psycho combination? Can we like help facilitate that?
I mean,
like black, blue, chrome or something like white chrome, black jerseys, blue pants.
I would like to pull out the black uniforms, some aspect of it. I'm a big fan of the black helmets that we pulled out versus Louisville.
I will tell you, one of the sickest jerseys I've ever seen was white, black, white.
Maybe
that was dope.
We did that.
Tennessee, when we beat them with the wide receiver the first time. Yeah, when they broke the streak. Matt Roark. It was white.
Kattus doesn't know who he is.
White, yeah. Kattus is like, who? What? White helmets, black jerseys, white pants. It was fresh.
That was I think that was the first time we beat Tennessee in how many years?
Yeah, it was. And nobody was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna lose." He had like all three quarterbacks out. Matt Roark wins 10-7. It was great.
I was at it.
I didn't go. That was like a game I was like, we're gonna lose.
It was
I'm not
last
going.
Game of the year, and I think when we were not able to get a bowl. I think that was like our 5th win.
It was our 3rd win. It was a bad year.
Good finish.
It was a bad year.
I would not be surprised if versus like Ole Miss we pull out the chromes.
Yeah, the all white chromes.
First big road game.
Yeah,
maybe. But even the icy whites, or what we call the icy whites, the chrome and all white. I think
I like that look too.
The white helmet with the white uniforms looks solid as well.
There was a combo you guys have in the lobby, and I forget what it was, but I've never seen it. It might have been like the black. It might have been black helmet. Because we've never worn black helmets, black jerseys.
Mm-hmm. Because Missouri last year we wore chrome, black.
Yeah,
we didn't pull out the black helmets at all last year.
Those were sick. That would be sick, like an actual blackout, because you could actually go blackout game and go full black. But you go blackout and then have the student section in the white. That'd be dope. That stadium would look sick.
That would be pretty sweet.
Hopefully. I don't know if the guy making that decision is listening to this, but I would.
I'm sure you know. I'm sure. Listen. I mean, I'm sure that there's like a way that you can put it in some ears because. Hey, I can tell you what the vibe of the fan base wants on games. It's fine. We'll just report back to you and say, hey, make it happen.
Yep.
No, I really do believe we have probably the best uniforms.
Some of the best.
Top 5, at least, in the country.
There's some sick combinations that you guys have.
We got all black. We got all white. We got the blue and we got the gray. And then you can change up the blue helmet, take the stripe off, put the blue face mask on. It changes the helmet, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We do have a lot of combos. We got to start pulling those things out, though.
The fan base just wants the damn Power K for one game.
The Power K.
The Power K.
Yes.
I probably would too.
That would be a sick thing, like a retro jersey. Like that's the only thing I think you guys don't have is like a retro jersey.
Yeah.
Like a retro like a hybrid retro modern Power K jersey. I think I don't know if you guys ever remember this. The first time Georgia ever wore black jerseys, they shocked everyone. They warmed up in their regular jerseys, and then when they went to the locker room, they had them under their regular. They had the blacks under, so they wore both. So they had reds over the top of the blacks, and then they took all the reds off and then ran out.
Pretty sick.
And the crowd went absolutely nuts.
Hey, that's nuts.
Like that would be cool if like Kentucky could pull something like that off. I think the most surprised I've ever been pregame was when Waka Flocka walked out.
Yeah, that was cool. 2021. Yeah, he was just hanging out in our locker room. Also before, like we have this lounge like right next to our locker room that has like games and the TV set up. He was just chilling in there with a couple of his boys. He had a crew with him.
He retweeted when against South Carolina because I said it's the 10-year anniversary from when Grove Street first showed up at Kentucky, and he retweeted it. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
They started playing. They haven't been playing Grove Street as much this year, but they pulled out fourth quarter versus the Dogs.
I'm still tired from that game.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't even play.
I'm a little tired, but yeah.
So we'll have a guest next week, but I don't know who it is, but we promise. And this is Field Vision with Josh Kattus and Beau Allen. And life comes fast, but football comes faster. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Bleed Blue Network Podcast. Podcast. We hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of Kentucky sports with us. Don't forget to stay connected by following us on Twitter at BleedBNation. Your feedback means the world to us. So take a moment to leave a review. Not only does it help us improve, but it also helps others discover the show. Until next time, keep cheering, keep listening, and keep bleeding blue.